The Hyundai Tucson has been around for 20 years now, and to most people this is just a normal popular SUV, but to me it means a whole lot more than that. Why? It's because I had been an owner of not one but two Tucsons in my life, both the first generation as well as the third generation. The first generation Tucson came with a measly 140 horsepower and a 4-speed automatic transmission. It was one of the most affordable vehicles you can find at the time. The third generation introduced a turbocharged 4-cylinder along with a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Now, the 7-speed dual clutch transmission had its quirks really, but nonetheless, it's still a very popular vehicle. And in front of me today is the 4th generation Hyundai Tucson, and this one specifically is the 2024 model year N-Line hybrid version. Now in this video, we're going to do a walk around, go for a drive, and most importantly, talk about what's coming next, because in 2025, well, for 2025 model year, we're gonna get a refresh. Let's get started. When this vehicle came out, the front grille and the daytime running light was a little bit controversial. I didn't know how I feel about the design, but over time, it has definitely grown on me. Now, for the 2025 refresh model, we're gonna get a new grille with a bit of a boxier design on the grille on these little plates here, a bit more boxy, and also the daytime running lights are also gonna get a bit more boxy. It's gonna be quite a big block on these daytime running lights instead of these sort of triangular design that we have here. And additionally, we're gonna lose one of these daytime running lights because the rest of the 4 is gonna be larger. Now, off to the side is your main headlight unit that's LED, and that will stay that way along with a slight front bumper redesign. Now off to the side, these rims are specific to the N-Line model, which in my opinion looks really good. But a new version is going to come out in 2025. A slightly different look in terms of the rims, still a very good looking rim. Off to the side, the N-Line logo looks nice, and really cool body lines here. As you can see, a lot of these lines that makes this Tucson very rugged and very beefy in a sense. Now, walking towards the back of the vehicle, the rear tail lights will remain mainly the same, along with this flat Hyundai logo. Don't love it, but it's all right. What I love is the hidden rear wiper here. They've done a really good job making it look very sleek. Now down here, the bumper area is going to get a refresh for the 2025 model year with a bit stronger design on the diffuser type looking thing. One thing I really don't like is that the turn signals are down at the bottom in the bumper, which will remain the same for 2025. I really wish that they would make an adjustment and just put these turn signals up here so I can actually see it if I'm driving behind one of them. Now, of course, this is a hybrid, so you get a hybrid badge here, but let's take a look under the trunk or inside the trunk. Now, the trunk is extremely spacious and everything is flat. What's great about this is you actually get underfloor storage. Because this vehicle doesn't have a spare tire, you get a fix-it flat kit and a whole lot of space. What's great about this trunk floor is that you can slide it down and create yourself another level. Alongside, you can also do this, pop these open for a bit more storage if you desire to put something here that it's blocking the space or whatever. And another nice thing is that you get a physical latch to throw the seats down on both sides, just like that. Now the seats click in front to create pretty much a completely flat trunk. If you lift this back up a little bit, just like this. Extremely easy to use, everything folds quite flat, no complaints there. Now to fold the seats back up, quite easy as well. You get to push the seats all the way back if you want to. Again, lots of adjustments here. Let's do that for the other side as well. Just a little latch here, pull up, fold it back. Let's jump in and talk about the room and space in the interior. Now, the N-Line, first of all, gets a huge panoramic sunroof, which looks really nice and makes this entire cabin look very, very open. The seats are comfortable. However, I don't really like the texture of these seats. These textures, the best way I could describe it is that it feels like backpack paddings. It's not the most comfortable thing, but I appreciate that Hyundai is trying new materials to put in their vehicles, and I appreciate the design, and the looks pretty nice. And the N-Line specifically has a combination of leather as well as cloth. Center cup holder here, quite useful. Nothing to complain about. Legroom, plenty of legroom. Really good. Headroom, also a lot of headroom. For 2025, not a whole lot's going to change in here. Maybe slight changes for the door trims here, but generally speaking, the material stays the same. This backpack padding material remains the same. Up front, these two screens are gonna go. Instead, it will be a wide side-by-side panoramic screens that you will get like most of the other newer Hyundai products. The screen sizes are gonna be bigger too. This is a 10-inch screen. The new one's gonna be a 12-inch screen. What's great is that these touch capacitive buttons are also leaving. The return is coming for physical button climate controls. So these touch capacitive buttons are not fantastic to use. You really have to aim your finger at it and then touch it to do anything. The new ones are going to be physical buttons. Love the return for physical buttons. It's great. Now, in the center steering wheel, you're also going to get a new design for the steering wheel. Gone is the Hyundai logo. Instead, you get the new 4 dots in the center. The steering wheel also looks a little bit different, but this one or the new one, I think both looks pretty dang good. Now off to the center here, as you can see, this whole contraption is a bit on the bulkier side. Now the gear selector and the drive mode select really take up most of the space here, but that's going to be migrated to a stock style lever here, just like the Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and the Kona. More physical button will replace here. The center console will be redesigned as sort of more of a Ioniq 5 design as we insert a little bit of clips of what the new interior will look like. Just in general, a much better use of space here and less bulky feeling center console here. We've talked about the inside, we've talked about the outside. Let's pop open the hood and show you what's gonna change under the hood. So, no struts. I have to do it manually. Under the hood of this vehicle is a 1.6 liter turbo engine paired with 2 electric motors to produce a grand total of 226 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. The power is routed through a 6-speed automatic transmission to all 4 wheels, and the all-wheel drive system is a on-demand all-wheel drive system. So most of the time you will be running this vehicle in front-wheel drive mode to save some gas. Now for 2025, for the hybrid variant, you actually get a new electric motor with a bit more power. The grand total power is going to increase from 226 up to 231. I really doubt that that's going to be much of a real feeling of a difference in the real world for that extra 5 horsepower, but it's a new motor, so perhaps the efficiency is better, so on and so forth. For the two other powertrains of this vehicle, the plug-in hybrid will also receive a slight power bump, just like the hybrid, but again, not something that's significant enough to really be a real-world difference. Perhaps on the efficiency side, there will be a slight difference, but we will have to test it and see when we get the vehicle in here. For the gas variant, the 2.5 liter will carry over to the new 2025 model year. So no change there, no power output change, anything like that for the gas variant. All right, I think it's time for a drive. Let's go. All right, starting off with our driving portion, something that I've noticed that's a bit annoying with this powertrain is that when I come to an almost stop and then accelerate again, occasionally there would be a sort of a delay in the power, so it takes half a second after I press the throttle to get going, which is something to note with this powertrain that I've noticed. Perhaps that will be addressed in the 2025 model year, but we shall see. This vehicle is pretty easy to drive. Steering is light in eco and smart mode and much heavier in sport mode. The suspension is on the bumpier side, it's on the firmer side. Perhaps this is because it's an N line, but overall it's pretty compliant. It's just slightly bumpy on the low speed bumps. High speed bumps, it does great. Now in terms of efficiency, I've yet to complete the test loop, so I'll insert the test loop number here, but my preliminary testing on the fuel economy, on the highway I'm getting around 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and in the city it's even slightly better than that depending on the traffic. It's a wide range, but I've gotten it as low as the high 5s, and you know, if it's on the normal driving with some traffic, it's closer to the 7 mark. Right now it says it's 8.3. That's with extremely heavy traffic driving over here. Okay, we're in a full straightaway. Let's slap it into sport mode and do a science test. Come to a full stop. Wow. It gets up to speed way faster than I expected, way faster than you would think in a compact, affordable compact hybrid SUV. These 226 horsepower really feels quite powerful, and the torque is great too. So what happened there is, for the first second or so, it's pretty much full electric power. Then the engine kicked in and gave me the full beans. Just a little bit of delay there, but all things considered, I'm very impressed with the power from this powertrain. As you can see in the screen here, it shows you the power distribution. When cruising, it's mainly just front-wheel drive, but when you need some power, it switches into all-wheel drive. Well, it sends more power to the rear. Now, some turns, let's take some turns and see how that feels with the N-line treatment. The paddle shifter does actually work. It does change gears. The 6-speed is slow. Oh, understeer. The 6-speed is very slow to shift. but the suspension held up quite well. Now, you're not really going to be doing much of a spirited drive in a car like this, and the paddle shifters is not something that is super engaging to use, but I appreciate that it's still here for us to use when I want to. Overall, this vehicle is a pretty good package. N-line package looks a bit more sporty, and suspension tuning, it feels pretty good in terms of a slightly more spirited drive. A bit bumpy, as I mentioned. The powertrain is definitely powerful enough for day-to-day driving. It's significantly better than the gas variant. That's a NA 2.5 liter 180 horsepower engine. The torque is way more here. It feels way better overall. To wrap it up, the N-Line hybrid is a really good option. I'm thoroughly impressed with this vehicle, and I believe same with the Kia Sportage, it would provide a similar experience because they have the same powertrain. We've taken this on a drive, we've gone through the exterior, the interior, we've gone through what's going to change for 2025 model year. Comment down below if you think you will wait for the 2025 model year for this new screen and a bunch of other new features, or would you just take this one because even this one, it's a very compelling option. Perhaps the 2025 is going to come with a slight price bump as well. So let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.